everybody, and welcome to another exciting, hair-raising, fun-filled, expeditious episode of Radiorama, where, as the name implies, I show you how to work on radios, but sometimes televisions, sometimes record players, whatever floats my boat that happens to usually run on vacuum tubes. And today, I'll start by saying I almost didn't make an episode about this, and I may not even do an episode. This is a 1946 Philco Transitone. I say that because I went ahead and polished up the case, and it's just freakishly perfect. I've never seen Bakelite come out this absolutely perfect. It's not a rare radio. It's actually super, super common. The Transitone line was a lower cost, affordable, typically 5-tube set that Philco started, I believe, in the late 30s, and they continued it all the way up into the 50s. This is an immediate post-war set, 1946, as mentioned. And let's see, is it a true 5-tuber? Let's see, it's got a 1, 2, yeah, this is a 5-tube set. We have a 50L6 for the output, 35Z5 for the rectifier, and then for the IF and RF related tubes, we have a 7A8, 7B7, 7C6, and I mean, even a tag on this is perfect. It just makes me think that whoever owned it just bought it and put it away. Because, I mean, even the cardboard back is like crispy almost. There's no dust inside hardly. The cord was rotten and cut off, so I don't know the working condition. And that's probably a good thing, because I'd be tempted to plug it in. And since this one's so pristine, it'd be a shame if there actually was something horrifically wrong, and I've destroyed it by plugging it in, and some horrible, unforeseen electrical issue was to forsake it. I kind of wonder if even the back's been removed. These guys are still very secure. Usually these backs go bye-bye as soon as the tubes are changed. So let's see what's going on. I'll pull these guys. There's one screw in the bottom, and there's also an antenna that's come loose, but there's an antenna that's glued to the inside of the case. We'll detach that, take the chassis out, take a look, see what's going on inside. So I decided not to restore the radio today. Instead, we took a walk in a local park, and look at these honeybees. I didn't realize that they came in and out of there that much. It's like a shit ton of them. Anyway, I'm glad to see the bees are doing well, because they've been having a hard time recently. All right, tomorrow I'll get to work on the radio. All right, well, I lied. We got back from our little trip and saw the bees, and I decided at least I'd take the chassis out of the cabinet. First of all, even though the cabinet's in perfect shape, I do think it's had a decent amount of use, because that's not the original pilot light. The original pilot light is should be a 47, and this one is not. I can't remember which one this one is, but it's not a 47. It's not the right shape. Secondly, the electrolytics have been replaced. That's not the original. This is probably a 60s era Sprague Adams, I think. Yeah, Sprague Adams. So that tells me the set was used at least for a good decade before had some service done to it. Otherwise, everything else in it's pretty much original. These silly little things, that's the grounding cap. So when this goes to chassis ground, we can see here, and the value is way too big. If you were to touch chassis and ground at the same time with this, you get pretty much of a good nasty jolt. So we'll need to replace that. But we have two electrolytics. They're probably 50 microfarads or something like that. So that's the first thing we'll replace, and we will also replace this with a safety cap. And we also, of course, need to replace the line cord, because as seen, it's gone. It shatters to bits if you just look at it. Alright, so I've come in and removed the old electrolytic. Turns out there's actually 3 values in it, but they're all the same. It's pretty loosey-goosey when it comes to the cap values in some of these guys. It says it's 340s. I get a feeling that we're probably more like maybe an 80, a 60, and I haven't looked at the schematic, but I've worked on this radio enough to know there's usually more than one value of electrolytic. But what I'm going to do is replace all three of those with three 47 microfarad electrolytic capacitors. We have one here, and one over here. And so what I'm going to do is attach the positives of each one of these little electrolytics here. And then I'll run a negative wire from the negative to both of those, and then I can maybe even reuse this wire, this negative, to jump over to this one, where I'll hang the positive of the third electrolytic there, and I'll eliminate this wire. The idea is to try to keep it as neat and tidy as possible. You don't want like long gangly dangling wires going everywhere. So we'll replace all three of those and make sure that they all have their shared common negative, which goes again here, which then goes through that cap. Make sure that that's all observed. Anyway, I'll install those and we'll see what that looks like. All right, welcome to day 2 of working on the perfect Philco, and I've got my 2 electrolytic caps installed here. And the other thing is, just because I was having kind of a lazy afternoon yesterday, I cleaned the chassis, and it, just like the rest of the radio, is just perfect. I mean, it looks like it just came out of the factory. Usually this aluminum, it'll tarnish up a little bit, not tarnish, but turn white. The metal's in great shape. And just because I was like, well, maybe I could make it even more perfect, I buffed the bakelite even more. It's literally a mirror finish. So I'm going to go ahead and test this guy out and turn it on. Now the thing is, these Loctite tubes have a tendency not to make very good contacts, especially if they've been sitting around for decades. So we'll see if this guy will actually do anything. So the volume control is a little sticky.
Curry was playing cheerleader at courtside, trying to cope with the mental aspect of rehabbing.
That's more of a mental thing than anything, just, committed to what the rehab.
Lead the pace. Did you feel like at some point in the second half you got to...
That's good. We've got radio edge. The radio is working. Again, that's not the right pilot lamp. He said how dull that was. That wouldn't do anything. It should be a number 47, I believe. But the good news is we've got a working radio, and the rest of the job is just going to be kind of a straight up recap job. First of all, I'm going to remove my antenna wires so I don't damage that. Pull it off one-handed. And what we got to do under here is replace the rest of these capacitors. We have this grounding cap, the guy that has all the wire wrapped around it. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I believe there's one up top too. There's about 7 capacitors that need to be replaced here. I don't trust any of these old wax caps. They're no good. But again, this value is way too big for this radio. It's probably a 0.25 rated cap. It needs to be a 0.01, and it needs to be in a safety cap. Because, as I've mentioned in my videos before, if you don't put a safety cap in there and say the set gets struck by lightning or something, the cap could fuse solid, and then you would have an absolute deadly hot chassis set. But the safety cap, if it happens, it'll split open, and then it'll kill the circuit entirely, and you won't have any shocking hazard. So we're in good shape here. Recapping is kind of a boring sort of process, but it has to be done, so we'll do that. All right, so we've got all the caps replaced. Here's our oh so important safety cap going to chassis ground, 0.01 rated microfarad. And the rest of these old wax caps will replace with nice shiny new yellow plastic caps. And there was one cap that actually showed evidence of being damaged. Which one was it? You know what? I was all ready to film this segment. There it is. Not sure if you can see that, but there's like a little bubble coming out the end of that thing. There's a little bit of damage there. And that cap, if I remember correctly, was actually connecting between the, looks like maybe the rectifier, and it's also tied into the output tube. So that's no good. I wonder if the performance will be even better now that that's been taken care of. But in the meantime, what I need to do is also clean the volume pot, which is this sucker here. And you'll see here there are these little channels that are in behind the contacts. I'll get my light over here, you can see this better. There's a little bit of a gap there. Not all of these have it, but some do, and they're better because you can get in there and clean them. So get your contact cleaner and just, I always tell people, don't be afraid of using too much of it. That already feels like loads better. Let's work it in there real good. Maybe follow up with a second application. And we're good there. Now, the last thing I'm going to do before I give it a test fire, well, first of all, I need to replace that cap. I forgot that was up there. Need to do that. And where is my Earl at? Here's my Earl. I need to lubricate the bearings here. So we have one here, which is the tuning condenser in the front. Put a little oil in there. And then we'll put a little in the back here like that. And while we're at it, we'll also lubricate all the little pulleys and stuff that are associated with this fine mechanism. And then we'll just put maybe a little dribblings on the slide for the indicator. That should, well, we also need to lubricate the tuning shaft. And eventually by capillary action that oil will get in there. Yeah, it's already moving a lot better. So now that we've done that, I'll replace this cap and then we'll do a test fire to make sure that we're still firing on all cylinders, or I guess really, in this case, all tubes. All right, well, I've powered it up and I put the correct pilot lamp in there, which is of course much brighter. And it's working, but we have some problems here. So it's fine. We start turning around. Hear that? That crackling noise? What that is there's cat whiskers that have gotten down in here. You see these little rotating plates. Sometimes you'll get like little magnetic or frustratingly small and tiny little metal shavings that'll get between those tuning condenser plates, and that'll cause basically a shorting problem. So what I do is I get a business card. I have a whole bunch of these that I never use for some reason. I don't know I should. And I'll slice them up into little bits, and we'll clean out these little we'll clean out the tuning condenser basically. All right, so this is what I do. I will just get like a strip of business card and just go down in between each and every single one of these little guys. Just work it through. Sometimes you have to do this several times, but be patient, be very careful because these are fairly fragile. They're very easy to bend. It's just soft aluminum. And you will spin your tuning condenser up and down, and then that way you can get into some of the other little nooks and crannies like these guys back here. Actually, I need a skinnier one to do this one. But you get the idea. You just want to go through there, and then sometimes what I'll do, I know this sounds incredibly stupid, but it works for some reason, is I will soak all of that when I'm done with WD-40 and then use compressed air to blast it out, and that'll, if there's anything left, it'll generally flush it out of there. But I don't know. There's probably better ways of doing it, but that works for me. All right, we're working pretty good now.
white Spanish village.
You don't lie awake at night.
You're part-time or full-time anytime during the last 3 years.
Argument of white. Looking at the gold market, post fraction.
Pretty sensitive radio, actually. I do say so myself. I might tweak the cans, but it seems like it's very sensitive. But otherwise, I think electrically, for now, we're good. We have the full recap job done, and tomorrow I'll probably add the audio input feature, even though I'm kind of like, maybe I shouldn't because it's so perfect. We'll see. I'll think about it overnight. All right, ordinarily I don't show this because it's kind of boring, but this is how I do my very, very super generic alignment on these guys.
John Rothman with you now. I have to tell you, I got
Again, I don't think it really needs it, but anyway, what I'm going to do is tweak both these cans. What you want to do is each setting you go as far to either side, and your signal will start to weaken, and then you'll bring it back to maximum loudness. You go in either direction. Like, you basically want to find where things start to get crappy. Now, I'm being lazy because the proper way to do it is use a signal generator, but I just don't feel like getting it out. I feel like on a basic AA5 this seems to work most of the time. So here we go.
Mr. Originalist, right? Yeah. And the reason I am is because I don't believe that
We can also treat Peyronie's disease. Our non-invasive treatment for ED is painless and highly effective.
Oh boy, it's an erectile dysfunction ad. Hooray.
Stop living with this problem and do something about it. Do yourself a favor, do your partner a favor, and call us today.
With offices in San Mateo and Sacramento, call 650-407-1168. That's 650-407-1168. 650-407-1168. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome.
Swear to God, when I'm on AM, I know it's just going to be something embarrassing that comes up. Erectile dysfunction. It's a problem, men, we need to talk about. But anyway, that's how you do it. Well, at least how I do it. I know that some of the people here are probably saying you should use that signal generator, but like, it seems to be working pretty well.
morality, what deliver vaccine.
T8 424. Text youth to 42424.
Pretty strong radio. I think that's all I'm going to do this evening, but we're in really good shape. Really nice, super solid radio with the original beautiful finish with a really clean chassis to boot. So this is going to be one of the best Transitones I've probably ever restored. All right, welcome back to the last and final day of working on the Philco Transitone, and me and some of the radio guys had a little bit of a discussion last night, and we decided, yes, we should hold on to this one. It's probably the best example of a Philco Transitone. It was kind of an important radio because it was a low-cost alternative and came out during the Depression and was a good performer, not bad quality. The last thing I'm going to do is I want a little bit of separation on the cardboard back. I'm going to glue that back together with some wood glue. I don't have any paper glue, but wood glue will work just fine. I'll clamp that and put that out in the sun because it's freakishly hot out there right now. And then I'll proceed with putting the case back together, well, the chassis back in the cabinet. I need to glue the antenna loop back in because it came loose. I'll probably use a little hot glue on that. And then we'll button this guy up. We're not going to add audio input. We're going to keep it a la original. Just it's going to be a radio for the sake of being a radio, which is fine. It's going to be a display item and a working display at that. So this one, again, I think it's rare that I work on a common radio that winds up being in such good original mint condition. Okay, she is done and back together again. I've been having it play here for maybe about 30 minutes, and so far it just seems to be just fine. I'm just still blown away by how damn shiny this is. I've never seen bakelite that perfect.
41. Well, I'm looking at heavy traffic passing SFO for the ride on southbound 101.
It's a good thing I work from home and don't deal with that awful traffic. Anyway, here is... I haven't put the back on yet, but I tried to not get anywhere on the interior where you can see the hot glue. I got a little bit there. Probably just peel that off. No one's going to see inside it once the cover's on anyway, but just makes it feel better. I'll take care of that. I'll cut that out of there. So that's it. I'll put the back on, and it will be a permanent display item at our museum. Works out for me because, you know, I can't fill my house with these things, but I do go over there once a week. So if we get anything really super cool, I can go over there and look at it anytime I want. At least that's my lame sort of idea about it. There's a lot of things there that, you know, they mean a lot to us. I think the public really likes it. And this is one of those radios where it's like, they'd be great to share it with the public to show them what something looked like in 1946, fresh out of the factory. This is what radio was. Anyway, I really enjoyed working on this one. Again, it's a very common set, but this was an uncommonly good shape. And so I guess that's it for this episode. Anyway, if you liked what you saw in this episode, make sure and press that like button. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down in the comments section. I'll try to get to them best I can. I'm a little busy at work right now, so I'm not sure about that. But until the next time that a radio comes across my workbench, it could very well be another Transitone, because we have the, I'm not sure what year this would be. Let's see. Oh, 46, same year. Totally different styling. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'll work on some other brand. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Until the next time that happens, see you guys next time. Adios.